Oh, yeah. Week 15. Welcome to the show, NFL Points, Picks, and Props. Tommy Birch, Ben O'Connell, Kyle Garlett coming at you. We are going to bring you all of the football action for this weekend, all of your picks for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We've got 15 games to get through. Guys, 4 weeks left. How are we feeling?
What?
Wonderful.
The season's over. What are you talking about? It was a poor showing, but we'll get them next year. Football is over, right? Right?
For those of you new to the show, Ben is a Denver Bronco fan and has been bitter for most of the season. Tommy, however, San Francisco 49er fan, he is pleased with his life, and I'm a Kansas City Chief fan, also pleased with my life.
I got
Ben,
it.
though, Ben will be fine. He has all those Super Bowls, or I guess what, 3? You got 3.
Well,
Super
we learned that maybe we can score more than 20 points a game.
That was a good showing. The Broncos didn't look so bad. Look, we'll get into it later, but Brett Rippon, he is the nephew of Mark Rippon. Mark Rippon won a Super Bowl, so maybe Brett Rippon could bring another Super Bowl back to the family. Not probably this year, but certainly maybe Brett Rippon is the 49ers or the Broncos quarterback of the future.
I don't want him. I got Eddie Purdy.
Yeah, you got Brock Purdy. You're good down there.
I'm not worried about it. I don't need no Brett Rippon.
All right. So if you are new to the show, we begin every show with a game to determine which of my 2 co-hosts will get to present their picks first. And at the end of the show, we pick our favorites, our top dogs, and our easy money line picks. And the winner of the game gets to pick his choices first. So today's game, based off of the question we had last week regarding the northernmost NFL city, I thought we should do a little NFL geography quiz. So NFL geography is the topic on the table. Tommy, it is an odd numbered week. That means you are going to go first. And your first question, if you are ready.
I am very ready.
There are currently 3 NFL teams in California and 3 in Florida, the most of any states. When the NFL began in 1920, which state had the most teams?
I'm going to go California.
That is incorrect. Ben, do you have a guess for that? Most NFL teams in 1920. Which state?
Ohio?
Ohio is the correct answer. There were 5 teams in Ohio.
I thought you meant the 2. My bad.
No. Neither state had a football team in 1920. Yeah, in 1920, Ohio had 5 NFL teams, which is why the Hall of Fame there is Aaron Canton. Canton being one of those 5. Illinois was second with 4 teams. There were 2 in Indiana, a couple in New York, and I believe there was 1 in Racine, Wisconsin. So anyway, no points scored there. We go on to our second question. This is for you, Ben. Most NFL teams are named for a city or a state. For example, Denver being a city, Minnesota being a state.
Correct.
3 teams have names that are not a city or state. Name them, please.
That are not cities or states.
Correct.
Right.
Not cities or states. There are 3 teams.
We got New England.
That is one of them, yes.
We got it's not a city or a state. Like that that they're playing in, or just in general.
What their name is, what the name of the team is.
Whoa.
They're not as obvious as New England.
They're probably hidden, aren't they? I have no clue after that. they're like probably disbanded teams, right?
Tommy, no, these are current teams.
Oh, jeez.
These are current of the 32 teams. Tommy, do you have a guess for the other 2? New England,
I think Green Bay Packers, right? Green Bay, because that's not like
Green Bay is an actual city.
It's actually the city. Okay. Well, I was also thinking like technically, could we count Carolina because it's like both Carolina?
We do in fact count Carolina because there is no state called Carolina. That is the second one. And the third
New Orleans?
It is Tampa Bay. Tampa is
Damn.
the town. Tampa Bay is a body of water.
Oh,
So-
that's a trick question.
This man, the parade was on boats.
Okay, moving on to our next question. 3 teams play in cities on the Gulf of Mexico. How many teams play on the Great Lakes?
On the Great Lakes, this is my question, right?
Cities on the Great Lakes. Yes, this is for you.
So there's and then technically, is it 3?
It is not 3. Ben, do you have a?
I want to say it's either 5 or 6.
It is indeed 5. Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo are all on the Great Lakes. All right.
Damn, I can only answer Tommy's questions, apparently. This is wild. This is wild.
Ben, this is for you. Which 2 NFL stadiums are the closest to each other?
Which 2 NFL cities are closest to each other?
Yes.
My gut says is New York and Buffalo. But oh wait. No, it could be like dang. I'm gonna go with Cleveland and Cleveland and Cincy.
No, that is incorrect. Tommy, do you have a guess?
So Cleveland and Cincy.
2 NFL stadiums closest to one another.
Would it be?
I'll give you a hint. It's only 32 miles apart.
Oh,
Just
well, is it like
32 miles?
Is it like in Cali? Is it like from? That's all I'm gonna say. Like
It
in
is
Cali,
not.
I can't think of the teams.
No, it is the Raven Stadium, M&T
Ravens and
Bank
Steelers?
Stadium, and FedEx Field.
Oh yeah.
The Reds for the almost called the Redskins, the Commanders, Washington Commanders, Baltimore Ravens play just 32 miles apart from one another.
Yeah, Washington does have a football team.
Hey, they're a playoff team right now.
Yes, they are.
All right, there are a number that who is this to? This is to Tommy.
Yes.
A number of NFL cities are located on rivers. Which 2 rivers in the United States have more than one NFL team? There are 2 rivers that have more than one NFL city on them.
Oh wow. Talking rivers now.
They are large American rivers.
I'm going to say the Mississippi River because that's the one that everybody talks about. And that one's really big.
Mississippi River is very big. It's the biggest. And there are, in fact, 2 NFL cities located on the Mississippi River, Minneapolis and New Orleans. So that is one of the 2. One other.
Oh, I don't know rivers. Other than the Connecticut River.
It is not the Connecticut River.
Yeah, it's the only one I
I'm
know.
going to give you that hint. You can eliminate the Connecticut River.
I think those are the only 2 rivers I could really name at the moment. That's kind of sad.
Okay.
I never did well in geography class.
Okay. Ben, do you know the other river?
Is it the Missouri?
It used to be back when St. Louis had a team. The Missouri did, in
damn.
fact, have 2 teams. Now it is the Ohio River.
Oh.
Both Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are on the Ohio River. All right. This is to you, Ben.
Okie dokie.
4 NFL teams play in state capitals. Now, I'm not talking about metro areas, so I'm not including like Phoenix. Phoenix is the capital. The Cardinals play in Glendale. Not including that. Not including the Patriots in Boston either. But there are 4 teams that play in actual state capitals. Can you name 3 of them?
Denver.
Denver is one, yes.
Minnesota's in Minneapolis, right?
Minnesota is in Minneapolis, but Minneapolis is not the capital of
Oh
Minnesota.
dang. Is that it then? Did I mess this up already?
Well, you can still see if you can get the other. You still got it. Yeah. Go.
Okay, let's see here. So I said Denver.
There's 3 others.
Wow. Why am I struggling so much on this? This is Tennessee
Yes, Nashville is one as well. One more. There's two
and
others.
ooh I can feel it. Let's see. Oh, Atlanta.
Atlanta is one indeed. Yes, the other being Indianapolis. So
Oh, I was
those
not going to
are
get that
our-
one.
those are our 4 state capitals that have NFL teams. Well done on that. Okay, Tommy, this to you. According to the U.S. or the 2020 U.S. Census, so these are the numbers created or tabulated by the census. Los Angeles is the largest U.S. city to host NFL games. The smallest is Green Bay. What is the second largest city to host NFL games and the second smallest city to host NFL games? You're on mute, Tommy. So whatever you said, that you
there we go.
you may have had something genius coming out, but
Yeah, I was just like, I just solved like a 20-year long math equation right there. I'm gonna say Vegas as the second biggest, and then for the second smallest, are we talking about where they play or the city?
the cities where they play, yeah, just their home city, yeah.
All right. Well then,
Yeah, so that's why New York would be the biggest, but New York does not host NFL games.
yeah, I was gonna say because like New Jersey and then possibly Buffalo. Buffalo's actually pretty big. So I guess for my second one, I'll go with Buffalo just because I don't think that Buffalo is a very big city.
Buffalo is indeed the second smallest of the NFL cities, but Las Vegas is not the second biggest. Ben, do you know the second biggest NFL city?
Would it be Chicago?
It is indeed Chicago, Illinois. Yes. Chicago, the second largest U.S. City to have an NFL team. Buffalo, the second smallest. Okay. This question is to you, Ben. There is one team this season that has not and will not travel beyond the Eastern time zone. Can you name that team? They will spend their entire season, all 17 games, playing in the Eastern time zone.
Is it New England?
Well, New England is in Las Vegas this weekend, so it is not.
So
it is not New England.
It's one of my games, dude. I've just completely whiffed on that, dude.
It is the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are not leaving the Eastern time zone the entire season. I thought.
How do you get zero jet lag, and then you're still so bad? I don't understand that.
Wow. Shots fired. Shots fired at the
Over the
Steelers.
jugular over here.
All right. Obviously, so Ben, you are going to win, but let's go ahead and do my tie-breaking question just for the fun of it because it is somewhat related to that Steelers question. So on the opposite spectrum of the Seattle of Pittsburgh Steelers, the Seattle Seahawks are going to fly the most miles this year, and they're going to travel across 34 time zones by the end of the season. What is the difference in miles between what the Steelers will fly this season and what Seattle will fly? Who can be closest? The difference between total mileage for the Seahawks and total mileage for the Steelers.
I don't really have a very good like judge of mileage, but like since I can, I'll say like 1,200.
I'm finding out that the answer a lot probably is not going to help me here. I'm going to say 3,500.
The difference is 23,000 miles. The Seattle Seahawks are going to fly 29,446 miles before the season is over. Remember, they went to Germany. Pittsburgh is only going to fly 6,442 miles. That is a difference of 23,004 miles. Ben, you are our NFL geography champion. Well done. So you will then present your games first. And there you are in the big square.
I'm fueled by jealousy right now.
Ticker started.
You absolutely should be.
Let's go ahead and get started with your first game, which is your Saturday game, which is going to be one of the big games there on Saturday.
Oh my goodness, let's talk about an exciting game, not just because of the two teams playing, but with this exciting spread of 7.5 points. The Buffalo Bills will be playing host to division rivals Miami Dolphins. Everyone is aware of the heated race right now for the division going on over there. I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo to cover 7.5. I'm gonna definitely be shopping around for it for 6.5. I promise you that, because if you've learned anything from watching this show, it's that I love trying to find that safer bet. But let's be honest. We're really starting to see this Miami team for what they are. Are they a good team? Yeah, they are. Are they real contenders? I'm not sure. I don't think so. We were calling them pretenders last week. I think that a 7.5 point spread here is more than doable for Buffalo. Obviously, losing Von Miller is a big loss, but they've been looking fine without him. I like Buffalo to cover 7.5 here on a Saturday game that I didn't realize was on Saturday, so I will have to remember that, because I am definitely going to be watching and betting on this one.
Yeah, snow is in the forecast. They're saying lake effect snow. I don't think it will quite be what they what sent them to Detroit against the Browns that one weekend. It's not going to be quite that crazy. But the Miami Dolphins, they were using heaters down in LA for their game against the Chargers. It's going to be about 40 degrees colder in Buffalo this weekend. Snow, they've always been kind of targeted as this team that cannot win in the Northeast. They cannot beat the Patriots in New England. They cannot beat the Bills in Buffalo. I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. The Bills are only 2-5 against the spread in their last 7 games. They're not covering the spread a lot. I don't love the spread. I'm not going to touch the spread, but what I do love is the under. The under on the Buffalo Bills this year is 10-3. The Bills under would be the top seed in the AFC right now. I love the under. I'm going to hammer this under. I think, the under right here is 42. 42 on this. I'm going on that.
Honestly, I might go in the opposite direction here with the spread. I would actually go with the Dolphins here, and I know that the weather and circumstances might be very much in Buffalo's favor, but it is also a divisional rivalry game, and those tend to be very close, because I don't know if it's if it's Vegas and the betting gods just wanting to make things difficult for everybody putting money on these games, or if it has to do with the NFL being rigged. But either way, we find that especially AFC East games have been quite competitive. And another thing, I've seen the Buffalo Bills practice facility. It is very large and it is very much indoors. And it's very warm and cozy in there. So I know that they live in Buffalo and they have to deal with the weather more frequently, but it's still going to be tough for them too. So I think that low scoring is definitely the move here. But I think that by over a touchdown, is a bit much. So I might actually rock with Miami at the plus 7.5.
All right. Thank you very much, Tommy. Thanks, Ben, for that. Your next game, please.
Yeah, let's talk about the Eagles going to the Windy City, my home in Chicago. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles -9 wide window, but let me tell you what, they just are coming off of a heater where they put up 48 against the New York Giants. And if you can put up 48 against the New York Giants, feel pretty confident about what you can do against the Bears team. Last outing for the Bears, they are coming off the bye, which Tommy is a big fan of bye week teams. Boy, did they need it going into that one. Justin Fields went 20 for 25, 254 yards. Sounds good. 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's going to need to be looking in better shape if they want to be able to keep up with the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm just not convinced that they can. I don't think that the Bears defense is playing at the point to where they could stop this Eagles offense if they really get going, because I don't think anyone in this league can really slow down the Eagles when they really get going. I like the Eagles to cover 9 here in what should be another beautifully drunken day for the Windy City.
Yeah, the Eagles are number 1 in overall DVOA. The Chicago Bears are 30th in DVOA. The last 2 games for the Eagles, they won by 25 points and 26 points. 9 points is a cakewalk. Why not make it a third straight 20-point game? This team is feeling itself. Have you guys heard the Christmas album that the Philadelphia Eagles are about to release? I've got a clip here. It is fantastic. And look, and if you're releasing albums in season, you're feeling yourself. It's not quite the Super Bowl shuffle and the Bears in '85, but teams that are not feeling themselves don't do this. But it's really good stuff. This is actually, it's Jason Kelce is the first singer you'll hear, and then Jordan Mailata, both offensive linemen. And I got to say, Jordan's got some pipes. Here we go.
May your days, may your days, may your days be merry and bright, and may all your Christmases be white. I said, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the one I used to know, where those treetops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow.
Good stuff there from Jordan Mailata. The album is going to be called A Philly Special Christmas. They cannot get over the fact that they won the Super Bowl in 2017, and they used a pass to Nick Foles to win that game. It's good stuff. And my favorite little clip from the end of the album is Jason Kelce, and he's just wishing everybody a Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Philly.
He needs to work on his singing a little bit. Mailata, though, is fantastic. As a team, though, they got nothing to work on. This team is about as good as anybody in the league. I am with you, Ben. I think they cover this spread, and the Eagles they're just rolling. They're the best team in the NFL.
Might I add about that Philly Special Christmas that Jordan Mailata was on The Masked Singer, and the judges actually thought that he was a professional singer. So I thought I should add that in because the guy's
Nice.
good.
Did better than
unrelated-
Antonio Brown. Did way better than Antonio Brown.
I mean, unrelated to their singing ability. I mean, the Eagles, this is the one of very few times that you're going to hear me say this. Screw the bye week. This doesn't mean goddamn anything. And I like to censor myself on this show, but I have some strong words about the Chicago Bears and how disappointing they are. I mean, but Chicago doesn't have a shot. I can't even say this without laughing, keeping a straight face. I mean,
Well, we saw the final score. We saw the final score of the Eagles. Are we sure the Eagles didn't have a bye week last week also? I mean,
basically,
48
they
to
rested half their
22?
starters.
Every week
seems
seems to be a bye week for Philadelphia. Are you kidding me?
God damn it. I mean, Jalen Hurts has 30 I think at this point in time he has 32 total combined touchdowns of the season with 22
He does
passing,
indeed, yes.
10 rushing touchdowns, and he has only 3 interceptions on the season right now. The guy's front runner for MVP in my book, especially after last week. And you're putting an MVP against just one of the overall worst teams that we've
Hey,
seen.
now Justin
last
Fields
couple
does have more rushing yards than Hurts does this year. So
Yeah, but he has
Fields has him
third
there.
of the passing yards.
Yeah, it's tomato.
Yeah, put Justin Fields at running back then. If we're so confident in his rushing yard ability. But yeah, this game's not going to be close. And -9, honestly, I don't know why it's so. I think it should be in the double digits for this.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are all in agreement on the Philadelphia Eagles being a pretty good football team. All right, Ben, your next game, please.
All right. I got it. I'm a little confused about this line when I see it. The New England Patriots are traveling to Vegas I recently remembered in our game earlier, but 1 point for the Patriots. Listen, I get it. The Raiders, they had that little stretch there. Whoa, they beat the Broncos. They beat Seattle in overtime. They beat the Chargers. And then they lose to the Rams. Right. In what has to be probably the most embarrassing game for them to lose yet, which is incredible because they've had so many embarrassing losses this year. The Raiders aren't a good team. Come on now. The Patriots, they're still sitting at 7-6. They're still in prime position for a playoff spot. They're still playing for some real deal stuff here. And the Raiders have just time and time again shown disappointment. I'm so confused by this line. I think at the very least, it should be like 2.5 for the Patriots. I see them winning easily by a field goal, if not by more. I mean, Mac Jones played pretty last week. It's 24 for 35, 235 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Patriots still find a way to put up 27. Granted, it's against the Cardinals, but let's be honest. Are the Raiders that much of a better team? I'm sorry. I was just going to throw it out there. I get it. I just think that the Raiders are going to Raider here. I have to go with the Patriots -1. It's a wild line for me.
Well, the Raiders lost to the Cardinals. So they're not better than the Cardinals. I look, I just wanted to bring some smoke at the Raiders here. So Carr ranks 32nd out of 33 qualifying quarterbacks in red zone passing. Baker Mayfield had been a Ram for 36 hours. He was 22 of 35, 230 yards, touchdown, passer rating of 91.4. Derek Carr has been a Raider for 9 years. He was 11 for 20, 137 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, passer rating of 36.9, the lowest of his career against a Rams team that didn't have anybody. Aaron Donald's watching the game in street clothes, and you can't light up this team. Carr and Devontae Adams, or he was with Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. Baker Mayfield had Ben Skowronek and Tutu Atwell. How do you lose to that? How? Josh McDaniels is now 8-20 as a head coach since when he was a Bronco, and he lost to Jamarcus Russell, one of the worst draft picks in the history of the NFL. He is now tied for the most double-digit halftime losses in Raiders history. Art Shell also had 4 losses of double digits at halftime. It took Art Shell 108 games to get there. Josh McDaniels has done it in 13. 13. The Raiders are awful. Go Pats.
All right. I just have to give Kyle his credit here. When Kyle talks about the Raiders, it's like giving Muhammad Ali gloves and putting him in the ring against a small Victorian child. Like, this is just it's a slaughter. It's like goddamn slaughter. I feel like I'm in a horror movie right now.
Boy, the Victorians taking some bullets there.
But all right, hear me out, right? Please.
Are you gonna go on the Raiders here? All right, I'll hear you out. Sorry, no. I'll say your piece.
Hear me out, right? Last week, you know how I am about new quarterbacks. I always love that. It's hard to game plan against them, especially in a new system. I tend to think that losses in those games can potentially sometimes be flukes. I'm not going to give Derek Carr any leeway for what he did, because that was pretty disgusting. But I think as an offense for the Rams, it was just like, it's not ordinary, so you can't game plan. Game planning is 95% of playing against your opponent. The week before, they beat the Chargers. The Chargers are formidable. See, I'm going to go with the -1 here because it's a -1. But say perhaps it was a -3.5. In that hypothetical world, I am probably going to go to Las Vegas because it's really the perfect situation for them. Like, New England's traveling to them. Josh McDaniels at the beginning of the season told reporters that he was not implementing a Belichick style of coaching while he was there because he didn't want to be like Belichick, because Belichick's coaching style has historically not traveled well. his like strict regimen, just like no room for error. Like that's just not how it works in a lot of other places. It just works for him. It's his niche, right? I think Josh McDaniel is gonna think about this game and he's gonna be like, you know what? I have something to prove here. And I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna be a pretty good game, personally. I think that maybe Derek Carr lights it up a little bit, has a bit of a bounce back week. But I just don't know if I can confidently pick the Patriots here. I don't.
Well, you know why Josh McDaniels in the Belichick system didn't work in Denver? Because Josh McDaniels is an asshat. Okay, this guy like just didn't know, and I would be shocked if truly he has found a way to turn that ship around. Like to coaching wise, the interpersonal stuff, the way that this team, how he handles failure. I would be shocked, honestly, to see major improvement in those ways, especially when you see how he handled the Indianapolis situation. I don't think that he's shown maturity throughout his career. And I think that, you know what, you're right. I do think that if there was a bigger line here, I might be leaning towards the Raiders, but that's what I'm saying. The disrespect towards the Patriots on this line is why I have to ride with the Patriots, because the Raiders are such a horrible team, almost as bad as Mark Davis's haircut. It's just genuinely some horrible football.
Well, that's the thing is he's already blown 17-point lead, 17-point lead, and a 20-point lead. Why suddenly blowing a 13-point lead is he going to have his come to Jesus moment? He's had his chances to wake up and go, wow, okay, that sucked. We need to do something different. They're not doing anything different. They're terrible. And if you watched the coaching there at the end of that Rams game, I mean, they were just the decisions that were being made. It was like a guy who didn't know what the hell he was doing. It's like a guy who's standing on the sideline for the first time in his life.
I thought it was Hackett.
Yeah. Yeah. And this guy now has lost to a high school football coach and a quarterback who didn't even know the names of the guys he was throwing the ball to. I mean, no to Jeff McDaniels or to Josh McDaniels. Just no to McDaniels. He's awful. He's terrible. And yes, it may be a close game because the Patriots offense is not very good. And there was talk about Ramondre Stevenson getting banged up in the last game and whether or not he's going to be available. Yes, it'll be a close game, but the Raiders, that's how you know they're a terrible coach, because they have a terrible coach because they cannot win a close game. And that was the difference last year. They won all those close games. They went to the playoffs. They decided to dump that coach that led them to the playoffs to go and go hire the shiny little bauble over there in New England, who is the quarterback whisperer, who is self-proclaimed, I could take any quarterback off the street and turn him into an all-pro. Well, how about you do that with the guy that you've already got? How about you do that with the guy that's in the building? He's awful, and we're giving the Raiders way too much goddamn time on this show.
All right, but the last thing I have to add here, I know we're giving them a lot of time, but for the last, six weeks before last week, Derek Carr was playing good football. And we tend with Derek Carr to forget when he's playing good and accentuate when he's playing bad. I mean, the guy had 250, 300, 295, 250, and then he had 11 touchdowns to 3 interceptions in that time frame. He had one game against the Rams where he slipped up. He hasn't played that bad all season. It's not going to continue. I mean, I don't think we should give – I mean, obviously, I'm all for giving Josh McDaniels a goddamn steaming load of crap. I'm so cool with that. But, like, we can't have 2 Victorian children in there. We can only have Josh McDaniels representative. We can't have another one to represent Derek Carr because he had one bad game.
He's thrown 5 interceptions in the last 3 weeks. 2 picks to Seattle, interception against the Chargers, and now 2 against the Rams. Bad. That's 5 interceptions in 3 weeks. He's awful.
All Carrs are bad at football.
Yeah. Right. Look. Derek Carr's like I would rank him 15th to 17th in the league. He's not the worst, but he's got Devontae Adams. For him to have 137 yards last week with Devontae Adams. No, I could get 137 yards with Devontae Adams. So yeah.
And
Anyway,
you're a fraction of his price.
right? Yeah. Pay me
I
half.
play. I
Just
go
half.
minimum wage. Like I
Yeah.
don't care. Like put me out there for free. I'll volunteer. Play a little football.
All right.
Moving on from that
Uh,
dumpster fire,
the
huh?
Raiders are a very divisive topic all across the league because they're just awful. Okay, let's move on from that
Yeah, let's,
to another team that's pretty awful at the moment. Although you kind of like them here a little bit.
Whoa. Let's not say I like them. I just like fading some injuries. That's what I'll say. We're going to talk about Cincinnati
right.
traveling to Tampa Bay here. I'm going to grab Tampa at plus 3.5. Primarily off of just reading today's Cincinnati Bengals injury report. Tyler Boyd was limited at practice. T. Higgins was limited at practice. Trey Hendrickson is a non-participant. Mike Hilton was a non-participant. Hayden Hurst is pretty doubtful. It's just a beat up team. And I think that I would like, I'm going to wait to put any money on this until we get, like game time rosters and inactive lists. I could easily see myself when those lists come out, betting on Cincinnati. But if this is what it's looking like for who all is going to be healthy to play, I'm gonna take Tampa to be able to lose by 3 probably. I still don't necessarily see them as winners, but with 3.5 gives me a little bit of wiggle room, and I think this is my more like exciting play of the week, where I'm kind of like I'm not sure how it's gonna fall, but I see some injuries that may be more favorable for Tampa, so I'm gonna play that side. Not really confident in either one. Like I said, would love to see the injury report Sunday, but yeah, for right now, I'm gonna go with Tampa.
I'm on the flip side of that, and it's for real simple reasons. The Bengals this year are the number 1 team in the NFL against the spread. They are 10-3 against the spread. The Buccaneers are the number 32 team in the league against the spread. They are 3-9-1 against the spread. They're the worst at covering. The Bengals are the best at covering. It's as simple as that. I'm just gonna go with the streaks that have been established. But yeah, I'm certainly not placing a bet on this on a Thursday or a Friday. I'm waiting to see where things stand on early Sunday morning.
There's definitely a wait and pick game. I mean, because obviously, if we see both those receivers getting their playing time, we're all in consensus here that the Bengals are a better team. But I guess I don't know how to feel about this Bucs team right now, because in one hand they have so many pieces, and they have talent on that roster. And if that talent got dispersed to other teams in the league, if the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got blown up and then all the players just got scattered, it would be a fun league to watch. But it's just not getting it's not piecing together. It's trying to put it's like mixing Play-Doh and Lego bricks. It just doesn't work. And I just don't, after the loss to the Niners with Brock Purdy. And as much as I love Brock Purdy, and
you can talk about Brock when we get to the 49ers. Yeah, you don't need to talk about Brock. We'll get you some Brock time.
I just don't see how they do that. I don't know how they lose that game by so much. And the Bengals with Joe Burrow, if you put Joe Burrow in place of Brock Purdy in that Niners offense, it's going to be like a 50-point game. So I think I have to go with the Bengals, even without the receivers probability here.
Yeah, I will say one thing. The Brady and Mike Evans, the last 2 years, that has been one of the best combinations in the NFL. And something weird has happened this year for them to just all of a sudden be on completely opposite pages and not be able to connect, because they were a dangerous duo. And just like that overnight, they're not. And it doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they rebound after getting their asses handed to them by the 49ers and the venerable Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, who is no longer Mr. Relevant. He's very Mr. Relevant, Brock Purdy. All right. And all right, Ben, moving on to your last game of the weekend, Monday night game.
Yeah, we got Monday Night Football with a game that was definitely more exciting when they scheduled this. It's the LA Rams going to the Green Bay Packers. You know what? I don't know why I think that Baker Mayfield somehow just randomly hit the jackpot. I don't know what makes me think this success when he barely squeaked out, this comeback win against the Raiders. I don't know what makes me think this could possibly continue to happen, but call me a believer. I'm here for it. You know what? Buckle me in for the third Baker hype train. I'm here. I'm gonna take the LA Rams at +7. Partly because I want to believe in this hype with Baker, but also because I think that the Packers are, not the greatest team here. Also, I have a prop bet here with this one. I have the LA Rams to score over 16.5 points. I'm getting that at -105. That's basically even money. That seems pretty good against a Packers team that the Titans and both New York squads have all been able to put up 27 points on. I feel like, hey, if Baker Mayfield, even if he just has the same game that he did last week, he puts up 17, we hit the bet. And I'm going to roll with it again. I'm going to hope that we get some shake and bake action this week. I'm going with the Rams. It kind of felt like this Rams team was kind of deflated and dead and was just looking for some kind of like spark. Baker Mayfield may be that spark to just give them something to play for the rest of the season. It could be entertaining at the least, exciting at the most. I'm gonna go with the LA Rams +7 on this one.
So I'm one of those dorks that has like 6 weather apps on his phone because I don't know why. I like the weather. In Green Bay, it's going to be 16 degrees for a high on Monday, getting down to 4 degrees at night. This is a night game. It is going to be frigid. I was curious if Baker has ever played at Lambeau, and in fact, he has. In fact, last year on Christmas Day, as a member of the Browns, Baker played at Lambeau Field, and the numbers here: 222 yards passing and 4 interceptions. So he doesn't have a great track record at Lambeau Field in December. It's going to be cold. This team of Angelinos is not going to like the single digits of Lambeau Field. I'm probably not going to touch this game because the Packers are just way too wild, and the variance and when they're going to be good and when they're not going to be good is off the charts. But I'm going to watch the game because I love games on turf that is frozen solid. And so I'm going to watch everybody freeze their noggins off, except for the Packers fans, who, of course, I'm doing several hundred of them without shirts on, enjoying the brisk weather in Wisconsin. But just follow the weather. Maybe it'll be better by Monday. I don't know how weather works in Wisconsin if it's very accurate this many days out, but it's going to be cold and it's going to be fun.
Put me on the believer train too, Ben. You know what? There's something about this Baker Mayfield guy. I mean, I think, I watched that final drive from Los Angeles, and there was a lot of mistakes made. There was a lot of flags thrown, but the guy was there for less than 2 days, and he drove down the field and made that incredible throw to Van Jefferson. And I think what really caught me is the locker room afterwards. You watch the locker room interaction after the game, and the guy, he says, like, I'm happy to be home. Gets the game ball. It's a heartwarming and elevating video experience. And it just gives me some faith because for some reason Baker just has that energy sometimes. And you know what? I just don't like Green Bay. I really don't. Not as a fan, and not as a viewer, and not this year. I think that Los Angeles comes in there with a Baker Mayfield that knows the playbook at least more than he did with 2 days of practice. I think he goes in there and I think he shocks the world and gives us another stunning performance.
All right. Well, thank you, Ben. Those are your 5 games. Tommy, we are now moving on to your picks. Your first game. I know you are. Are you still a fan of Jeff Saturday?
I am still a fan of Jeff Saturday.
Okay.
I just don't think the team is built perfectly for him. I think that if
That-
you give
that
Jeff
is-
Saturday an off season, it's the way to go.
Yeah. So he's going to be in charge of player personnel as well as the head coach.
Of course.
Anyway,
I mean, absolutely.
let's go ahead and get to your Indianapolis Colts, and they also play on Saturday. This is another Saturday game this weekend, and they are in Minnesota.
So the first thing I have to say is, I'm picking the Vikings -4 here, but we are always talking about how Kirk Cousins is great at 1 p.m. on Sundays. How about when you put him a day before? That is going to be the best player of all time. So, obviously Jeff Saturday is going to have difficulty game planning against the best player of all time. But, in all seriousness, the Vikings have had a slow last couple weeks, and it's been quite difficult for them to maintain their success. Luckily, Indy has one of the worst defensive teams in football the last couple weeks. They let up more than 3 scores in 3 of their last 4 games. And when you let up 33 unanswered fourth quarter points against Dallas, it just makes you really feel like this is like an FCS football team playing against Bama. But I do have to give respect where it's earned. Kirk Cousins had one of absolutely his best game this season. Last game, throwing for 400 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And I think that, with that level of success, you take that from a team you take that against a team like Indy, and you put it all together against a terrible defense and an offense that can fire off when they need to. I think the Vikings win this game decidedly.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins did have lighted up against the Lions last week, but they lost the game because Dalvin Cook did nothing. They could not run the football, and when the Detroit Lions shut down your running game, there is a concern. Although they're lucky, it's the Colts, and the Colts are terrible. And the Colts just lost by 35 points, and I am shocked that this point spread is only 4. It should be you're talking about the number 2 seed in the NFC taking on a team that is bottom 20% of the league. So I would expect this to be an 8 or 9 point spread. I think that this is easily a 10 to 14 point win for Minnesota. So yeah, I'm all over the Vikings here.
Yeah, completely with you on going with the Vikings here. In games like this are why the Minnesota Vikings have the record that they do. Their schedule has been relatively easier to them and nicer to them, and they're getting out like by the skins of their teeth in some of them. They will be, the parlay buster on that first week of wild card action when they inevitably lose in Minnesota in front of all their home fans, because they're just not ready, for that next level of competition. Fortunately for them, they're not facing that next level of competition this week. They're facing the Indianapolis Colts. I like the Minnesota Vikings -4.
And Tommy, you have your prop from this game, and after having just given up a 50 burger, going with somebody scoring points against the Indianapolis Colts, probably a pretty good bet.
Yeah, I actually really like this prop right here. The Adam Thielen anytime touchdown is +145, and of his 4 touchdowns this season, 2 of them have been in the last 3 games. And I mean, you see him in the offense; he's finally catching stride. And I think that Gilmore is going to be focused on Justin Jefferson, and I think that Thielen's going to tear apart the secondary. Clearly, like, these guys just aren't communicating well. There's something wrong with that defense right now. I don't know what it is, but regardless of all teams to take advantage of it, it's going to be Minnesota.
Yeah, no, anybody I think they're going to score several touchdowns. So no reason why Adam Thielen wouldn't get one. All right. Thank you for that. Moving on to your next game, please.
My next game is Pittsburgh traveling to Carolina, and I'm gonna have to pick the Panthers -2.5 here. And I do think that the Sam Darnold resurgence is real. I mean, I know his yardage isn't really there, but he's consistent. He hasn't been turning over the ball, and 2 games, 284 yards, 2 touchdowns, a 93.6 rating. He doesn't throw the highest quantity of throws. He doesn't have the volume of most quarterbacks in the league, but you can't really expect much from a guy who's coming in and only playing 2 games. But when he does throw the ball, he throws it efficiently. So, I think that comparatively to the Steelers with Kenny Pickett and those guys, I mean, it's really hit or miss with the Steelers, but it's usually misses. So I got to stick with the Panthers here.
Yeah, it's the Panthers really are playing the best football of anybody in the NFC South. If they had gotten if they'd gotten rid of Matt Rule earlier and put Steve Wilkes in week 3, they may be a playoff team. Just looking at the quarterback situation for the Steelers, so Pickett may not play, which means Mitch Trubisky would be in line to start, but he's a turnover. Maybe he had 4 turnovers last week. If Mitch Trubisky doesn't play, then we're going to go to Mason Rudolph. They may start Rudolph because of all the turnovers from Trubisky. The last time we saw Mason Rudolph, he threw the ball 50 times against the Detroit Lions in a 16-16 tie. 50 passes. He generated all of 16 points against the Detroit Lions last year, who were picking top 3. So is Mason Rudolph going to be any better than Mitchell Trubisky? No. The only hope for the Steelers is if Kenny Pickett clears concussion protocol, but this is his 2nd concussion in 2 months. I would rather be cautious. This is the future of this team. Be cautious with him. Let him get healthy and start one of these guys who is going to get eaten alive by the Panthers. They just absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage against the Seahawks. I think they'll do the same thing against this bad Steelers offensive line. And I'm with you, Tommy. I think the Panthers roll with this one.
Oh my goodness. Former Pro Bowler Mitch Trubisky, 22 for 30, 276 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions, comes out after the game, goes, hey, you know what? Maybe my eyes are not, doing what they need to win the game. And everyone kind of looked at him and said, yeah, no shit. You didn't see your career in Chicago? What are you doing, Mitch? Come on. Listen, if he does get the start, there's no way that he gets to do the same amount of damage that he did against Baltimore. I'm just not confident in this Steelers team to be able to do much of anything. Najee Harris had 12 carries last week for 33 yards. He had a touchdown, but 12 carries for 33 yards. If I had told you this was the Najee Harris numbers, a year ago, you wouldn't believe me. This is actually insane that the drop off he's had this year, and it's hard to watch. Carolina's hitting their stride at the right time. Good for the NFC South. They're all looking like they might be bowl eligible this year. Good for them. I like the Carolina Panthers at -2.5 here.
All right, we are all on the Panthers. Tommy, your next game has quite a big spread.
Yeah, so this big spread from Houston really screwed me last time. But but this is Kansas City we're talking about. And all right, it's tough to explain myself after the showing that I had, the disappointment, the immeasurable disappointment from last week. But Kansas City is just a top 3 team in the league. I think that they are a much better team than the Cowboys. And Houston had their little shine moment. They had their little, oh yeah, we're still a competent NFL team and we can compete with high level opponents. They still lost and got picked off with the Hail Mary, but it's still a loss, even though not by much. Kansas City is going to humble them and show them what's good. I mean, I have no defense for for Houston right now. I have to give them credit for, screwing me last week on my picks, but Kansas City is miles ahead of them.
Well, the Chiefs are number 1 in the league in offensive EPA. The Houston Texans are dead last in the league in offensive EPA. It's going to be a tale of two different teams when they switch possessions. Look, there's no more dangerous Patrick Mahomes than pissed off Patrick Mahomes. He threw 3 interceptions last week. He is embarrassed by that. He's angry about that, and the poor Houston Texans are going to be the sad sacrificial lamb here. I warned you about the Chiefs' big spread last week, especially inside the division. They just don't cover well. This is not inside the division, and this is following a bad performance from Patrick. I think he goes scorched earth on the Texans here, and it's not going to be pretty. The Texans are going to find it really hard to do anything. The Chiefs will move the ball up and down the field like it's practice.
Texans may be the next best thing to a bye week. I like the Kansas City Chiefs -14. Like everything Kyle just said. It's not inside the division. And Houston's just a want of a football team. So, Kansas City -14 for me. Or take the money line at what, -950 or something? Jeez, right? Like, ooh.
Yeah, that seems like dropped $100 so you can win 4.
Go throw that on a 3-game parlay. You'll find some money.
And go buy a scratch off. All right. Thank you, Tommy, for the Texans game. This game, NFC South, these two teams don't like each other. They hate each other, in fact.
They really do. And you know what? It is Desmond Ridder time. Falcons +4. I don't think so far this season, I could be wrong, but just from my very selective memory on when I'm right, the new quarterbacks trend that I have going on has been pretty consistently good. I mean, you throw in a new quarterback, they're pretty good. And I know rookies is different, but I mean, you're putting Desmond Ridder into a system that was built around Marcus Mariota, and Mariota is a versatile player. He can move out of the pocket, he can get the ball down into the mid-range, and he can run the ball. Desmond Ridder is a mobile quarterback who has a decent arm. He has a similar play style to Marcus Mariota, but has significantly more potential than Marcus has right now. I mean, there's really not much else to ask. They built this offense perfectly for their starting and backup quarterbacks, and they can make adjustments where they need and where they see fit. But New Orleans is going to have trouble because it's a new guy. I'm telling you, game planning is 95% of playing a football game. If you give the best NFL team in history zero film on their opponent, and then you give the Houston Texans of 2022 game film on every game they played this season, I mean, I would say Houston's going to put up a fight. But I think that this is perfect, a perfect situation for Desmond to start off. It's a +4 spread. If they lose, it's going to be by a field goal. And I just have complete faith in this guy. I saw him in college, and I know it might be, there's not much to back it right now, especially with there's no film on him from this year whatsoever. But you know what? I'm just going to stick with my guns. Desmond Ridder time, +4.
Tommy, you've missed half of the thing here. This is your perfect storm. This is a new quarterback off of a bye.
Oh my God, I didn't even know that.
Bye.
Oh, this is
the
game
Falcons
over.
were on a bye last week.
Oh no, my life has changed. This is wonderful. Oh, give it +20. I don't care. Falcons to win by a landslide.
Yeah, so I was actually writing a preview for this game earlier this week, and I was curious as to what the Saints have done against quarterbacks similar to Desmond Ridder, and I came across the fact that they actually have played a rookie quarterback this year. They played against Kenny Pickett, and Kenny Pickett's numbers were quite good. He was 18 of 30, 199 yards. He also ran for 51 yards and a touchdown. Ridder far more mobile than Kenny Pickett. Is it unreasonable to think that Ritter goes for 250 total yards and gets a touchdown or two? The Steelers won that game 20-10 with Pickett. I could see a very similar type of performance out of Desmond Ritter, and kudos to Arthur Smith. He held by his guns. He said, I'm absolutely not going to start Desmond Ritter until at least we get to the bye week. Well, they got to the bye week, so he gave Ritter 2 weeks to work with the ones. He's all ready now to go for this game. Yeah, I like the Falcons here, and I don't just like the Falcons to cover. I think the Falcons will win this game outright.
I refuse to watch this game, and no one can make me. Neither of these teams, both of these teams actually, have only scored over 20 points once in their past 5 games. I refuse to watch. I will not put money on it, except I will. I will be putting money on the under 43.5, and I will be putting money on the Atlanta Falcons at +4 because I am a degenerate. But I'm not excited about this one. I will say that much. I understand that. I understand Tommy has obviously laid out plenty of hype for this matchup here. I just can't find myself getting excited for this one. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what it is.
Professor O'Connell, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
So you're refusing to watch this game because neither of them have scored 20 points or more in however long. Don't you watch the Broncos every week?
That is out of civil duty. You're welcome, Denver. This is and I already subject myself to that every week. You think I'm gonna throw in an extra dosage of that? No, thank you.
Yeah, his masochism only goes so far.
But I do like under 43.5 if that's still sitting around when listeners are getting to that. And I do think that there are interesting aspects to this game. I'm definitely not going to tune myself out of it. I just don't think I'm going to have it on my screens.
Well, I just looked up the where each team has been versus considering the over and under recently. New Orleans has gone under now in 5 of their last 6 games, and Atlanta has gone under in 4 of their last 5. So the under, definitely, both these teams love to play to the under. That feels like a pretty good bet based on that.
I mean,
All
also
right.
though, like we have
Yes.
to consider that these are also 2 of the worst defenses right now. Well, at least not. I don't know about the Saints, but definitely Atlanta. So I could see this going either way. But I trust the under. But if it goes over, I won't be completely surprised.
All right. And your final game, speaking of watching the Denver Broncos.
All right. This is an interesting pick. So this is like, this is, I guess, my surprise pick of the week because I feel like in any other circumstance I'm picking the Cardinals. But for some reason, after seeing Brett go in for a couple plays in there and throw that touchdown pass to Jerry Jeudy, I was like, you know what? Maybe this guy can have a shot. You know, if Russ is out, which I assume he is, you know, it's gonna be the battle of the backups, and I just think that Denver, despite I guess coaching on both ends is pretty garbage right now, but I think that the Denver team is just built. It's a little bit healthier. I think maybe I could be totally wrong on that, but they're both banged up on both sides of the ball. And I guess I just have faith that Brett is going to take this team and Jerry Jeudy is going to take this team and win by 3 points. I don't have much of an explanation here. Colt McCoy is not going to do much. I don't have much confidence in either of these teams. It's probably not a game I'm picking on. But you know what? Maybe for once I just want to just side with the enemies here.
Well, for me, it really comes down to the defense. I think that Colt McCoy and Brett Rippon kind of cancel each other out. But the Broncos defense continues to play well. I mean, the Chiefs scored 27 on offense against them. They finished with 34 last week. But that's the Chiefs. The Broncos have been solid all year long on that side of the football. One of the best defenses in the league. And we saw what happened when Colt McCoy played a pretty good defense in Mexico City when he played the San Francisco 49ers. Colt McCoy is not your quarterback when you're playing a good defense. He is going to be abused by the Broncos here. And I think the Broncos win this game. They probably win out the rest of the year. They save Nathaniel Hackett's job, and he comes back next year to win another 4 games. I don't know about the rest of that stuff, but I do think the Broncos will win.
Ugh. Well, since our draft pick has nothing to do with this, we can hope for a win or something. Do I think the Broncos can win this game? Yeah, I think they can. I agree with Kyle. I really do think that this game comes down to just who the defense, the difference there. I'm not confident about a 3-point window, to be honest with you. I could see the Broncos squeaking out a 1-point win here. That tends to be how they do it. So, I mean, like the window, it's crazy to say that a 3-point window is large, but for the Broncos, it seems massive. It seems like the Grand Canyon in a lot of respects. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Broncos here because they should, but I've said this so many times this year, and it's continually to be proven correct. Just because the Broncos should, it means they probably won't. But yeah, I'll take the Broncos -3.
All right. Thank you very much, Tommy. Those are your games. Now on to my 5 games, beginning with teams that hate each other, fans that hate each other. The Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland Browns. This is a big game for the Ravens. They are trying to stay tight with the Bengals until they play in Week 18 and weather the storm while Lamar Jackson is out. Jackson probably still out this week, maybe out one more week and before he comes back. I know they were talking about targeting either Christmas or the week after that. I like the Ravens here, and for the simple fact is, the Ravens, J.K. Dobbins is back. He's now running the football pretty well. Anyway, he had 120 yards last week. He would run great. Nick Chubb got shut down by the Bengals, and I think the Ravens defense can also shut down Chubb. This is going to be a low-scoring, slug-it-out kind of game, and because of that, I'm going to favor the Hall of Fame kicker, the GOAT, Justin Tucker, over Cade York. This is going to be a game decided by field goals. There's nobody better in football than Justin Tucker. This may be the only game I ever choose based on the kicker, but I am going to go with the Ravens because in a tight, low-scoring game, Tucker makes the difference, and the Ravens will cover this spread and I think win this game.
Interestingly enough, I feel like if Jacoby Brissett was starting this game, I might be inclined to pick Cleveland here. I don't have much confidence in what Deshaun Watson showed me the last 2 weeks. I mean, his passing touchdown, his first one of the season, wasn't impressive. I mean, it's just this. I guess it was more of a repeat of the same stuff we saw last week, or the week before. But a little bit more, a little higher volume. We saw him get more into his groove, but he's just not there. And Baltimore has, with J.K. Dobbins back, I completely agree. He's having a good season so far. And last week was great for him. I don't know what the quarterback situation is going on over there, but you know what? Regardless, I guess I'm going to have to agree with you here. I mean, the +2.5 is I can see Baltimore winning outright.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley was full participant in practice. So at the very worst, they're going to have him, it seems, for the game. So they're not going to have to be defaulting back and relying on Anthony Brown. Though, to be honest, even if they did, I think that J.K. Dobbins is carrying the ball, well enough that they would still be able to probably cover 2.5. Gus Edwards also, people are sleeping on him, I think, a little bit. He's finding some good value there. He found 66 yards on 13 carries last week. I'm with you on this one. I like the Ravens. But I also love the under in this one as well.
I've made this comment multiple times. Oh, sorry. I've made this comment a couple of times about the Ravens, is that their running back room is one of the deepest in the league. I mean, you get J.K. Dobbins as your starter, and maybe that star power isn't there with J.K. Dobbins, but then you have Gus Edwards, then you have Kenyon Drake, and then you have Justice Hill. All those guys are serviceable backs, and regardless how deep you go on the chart, you're going to have somebody who's going to put up points, put up yards. And all of those guys can definitely make a push in the red zone. So I think, like, injuries, like barring injuries or even with injuries in that running back group, Baltimore's still going to always have a chance to put some points up.
Yeah, I like this game enough to where my prop is from this game. I've got a same game parlay. I'm going to go David Njoku under 42.5 yards, and then J.K. Dobbins over 52 yards. The Ravens do really well in defending tight ends. I know that that Njoku's become kind of a target for Watson, but I think the Ravens are going to limit what he can do. And Dobbins at only 52.5 feels to me like an easy part of this parlay. That I can just write off as that's going to happen. And then it's just focusing on the other side. I get plus 250 on that. That is my my prop of the week, and it comes from this game. I really like the Ravens to keep that keep Njoku under wraps and win me some cash there. All right, that is the end of that game. This is going to be a game. This was a game that was tough, man. And it's a pick 'em. Obviously, Vegas is having a hard time with it. The betting public is having a hard time with it. Which side do you go with? For me, I am going with the Detroit Lions because, for a simple fact, they are the team that's winning football games right now. They have won 5 of 6, and they could have very easily won that 6th game. They've gone over 30 points now in 4 of those 6 games. Meanwhile, you've got the Jets. They've lost 3 of 4. They've scored 3 of 4, and then they've lost 4 of 6. They're averaging only 17 points. Obviously, the Jets have a much better defense. But if you go back to when the Lions began this stretch 6 weeks ago, and you look at where their defensive ranks are, in EPA per play, they're 16th in the league. It's an average defense, but that's all it needs to be with the way this offense is playing. And on that defense, Aiden Hutchinson, he's really resurging here at the end of the year. He had a great game last week against the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. I think he has a great game here against the Jets offense that really struggles. I like the Lions to win this game. And I throw that it's a pick 'em because I would have probably gone with the Lions even if they were giving 3 to 4 points here.
I do like the Lions here. I am a little bit worried about the Jets being so good on defense, and that's what gives me a little bit of a side eye to this game. But there's a reason it's a pick 'em. It's not like we're talking about a -3 in Detroit's favor. But I think that if you're just picking a team, I think that probably 6 times out of 10 Detroit comes out winning. And if we're talking about probability in a pick 'em, you got to go with the probability.
Oh my goodness. The Lions are going to sneak out this season with a freaking wild card spot, y'all. It's going to happen. Jump on the hype train now. This is the Lions team we've been waiting for all season. Rewind, go back to the first episode. We were talking about how much we love Campbell, and we were trying for so long to keep riding with him, and they just went through that desolate patch, and we had to jump off and stay away from them for a second. But I am back with good news, and it's that the Detroit Lions are finally into that place that we were hoping they would be at the beginning of the season. It looks like Campbell is going to be able to keep his job. This team is starting to look super competitive. And you look at their last few games down the stretch here, they're all super winnable. It's the Jets this week. They got the Panthers. They got the Bears at home. And then they go to Green Bay in the last week. And honestly, that is a hyped matchup. This is prime, where they want to be at this stretch. They want it to be up to them. They want to go have the chance to go win out and really throw a wrench into the NFC playoff picture. I love the Detroit Lions right now. This is their first game on that, back end winning streak. I'm going with the Lions here.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, I know it's not a perfect comparison, but when you look at like opponents, both the Jets and the Lions in the last couple of weeks have played the Vikings and the Bills. And you have to say objectively, the Lions played both those teams much better than the Jets did. And that's just because the Lions right now are a better football team. And I look forward to them. I mean, like you're saying, Ben, they could very easily finish this season at 10-7, which is unreal to think about when you consider where they were the first month of the season. It's really fun to see. Jared Goff says, I'm playing the best football of my career. Great. Keep it up, Jared. You've got the girlfriend. We've all seen her. She's awesome. Keep playing the great football too. You've got your clothing line, man. Everything is coming up Jared right now, and I think the Lions are going to be a playoff team. All right. Moving on to my next game. I like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Also, they are surging right at the right time. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win this game. I think this is going to come down to this is going to be a tight game, final possession kind of game. The Cowboys may be the ones that win this game, but I really love the way Trevor Lawrence is playing. Last 4 weeks, 10 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. This is a guy who last year finished the season with 17 interceptions to just 12 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence, it's 1 week is on, 1 week is off. They're definitely not the most consistent team in the NFL right now, but they actually have a legitimate chance to win that division in the AFC South. They still get the Titans one more time before the end of the year. They just kicked the crap out of the Titans last week. The Cowboys had a very close shave against the Houston Texans. The Jaguars are a lot better than that. Look, again, I'm not saying that I think the Jags are going to win this game, but I do think the Jags make this a very competitive game because Trevor Lawrence is figuring it out. And this week, Trevor Lawrence, well, I don't know if you saw the end of that Titans game. Trevor Lawrence talking shit to the Titans right after the game. He waves goodbye to the Titans fans as he's walking off the field. People were asking about them this week, and he said, yeah, he goes, I remember all of the things that people have said, that people have written. I love petty Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence now is playing with a chip on his shoulder. So you get all that talent, and now he's actually playing with attitude. Give me more of it. Inject it into my veins. Jaguars are going to push the Cowboys to the end of this game. I like the Jags to cover.
I do really like this pick, and I'm probably going to ride with you here on the +5. But I do have to say that when it comes to that game last week with the Cowboys and the Texans, I just got to say, shit happens, right? I don't put too much weight in that game personally. I think that the Cowboys are still a great team. I think this is going to be a great matchup. So maybe I would shop for this game a little bit, but I have a little bit of difficulty picking on this game. It's a very tough game. But honestly, I think with the way that Trevor Lawrence and the Jags offense has been playing, and a little bit of Zay Jones action too. He's had a couple good games. I mean, this team is raring and ready to get back to the top of the division. They're fighting. They're fighting.
And just to add to this team gets Calvin Ridley next year too. I really love the future of this Jags team, and Doug Peterson could not have been a better fit for this. It's not just Trevor Lawrence. There's an actual team here that's pretty fun to watch.
Trevor, I think a lot of people are also forgetting. Trevor Lawrence is anything. He's not some bum. This was someone that we were touting as a generational talent, someone who was going to come in and change the game, comes in and has an unfortunate rookie season with one of the biggest snafus in coaching in the NFL history, right? You kind of have to look at his development, separate from everyone else's and to ever play the game just because of that year. And when you start talking about development, man, you can talk about Peyton Manning's rookie year. You can talk about John Elway's rookie year. You see it all the time. Great players don't necessarily start out looking that great, but they have these flashes, right? And when they flash, you're like, wow, they really do bring it. And when Trevor Lawrence shows his flashes of brilliance, he looks like everything we thought he could be and would be. Wow. I'm with you. I'm feeling the energy behind the Jags on this pick. I love it. I'm going to go with the Jags +5.
Yeah, just like I said, Peyton Manning was 3-13 his rookie year, and he turned out to be a pretty good quarterback. So, we're starting to see that with Trevor Lawrence. I mean, this is a guy from the time he was a freshman at Clemson was going to be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. So he obviously began his career with a ton of pressure on him. And again, that boob Urban Meyer. Now he's got an actual coach. He's got an actual team. And I really am enjoying watching his development. Moving on, the team that the Jags just kicked the crap out of last week, the Tennessee Titans, they are in Los Angeles taking on the Chargers. Chargers not dead for the playoffs. They are tied right now with both the Patriots and the Jets. Patriots right now winning the tiebreaker, but they have a harder schedule down the road. Chargers have a pretty easy schedule once they finish off the Titans. And maybe the Titans are an easy team right now too. They are not looking good. They are, back at the end of October, they were wrapping up the AFC South. It was easily their division. They were setting their sights on bigger things. Now they're white knuckling it to the end of the season, trying to hold on to that division. They're going to at best be a 4 seed if they win the division. There's no way they're going to catch one of the other division winners. They have not been good. Derrick Henry, I thought so. We're waiting for that Derrick Henry breakout game. Last week, 119 yards in the first half. This comes to Derrick Henry breakout game. 3 yards in the second half. 3. The Chargers obviously have a terrible defense, especially against the run. Maybe Henry does great things here, but the Titans' pass defense has been awful. Justin Herbert has got his receivers are now healthy again. He's got both Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I like the Chargers offense here to get this done. They not only take a big step forward in getting themselves into playoff position, but because I think the Jets will lose to the Lions. So I think the Chargers will move right up past them. And all they got to do is take care of business the rest of the year. I think the Chargers are going to be in the playoffs. And it starts with a win over the Titans. Titans in free fall right now. If somehow the Jaguars can steal that win against the Cowboys, that division race in the AFC South becomes really interesting because the Titans, and I've talked about my love of Mike Vrabel, but man, something is happening. This team is really letting this season slip away, and I think they lose to the Chargers.
I mean, I had a little bit of trouble with the Chargers this season, just confidence-wise. They've been so inconsistent at times. When they're losing by 3 to the Chiefs, you're like, wow, this team is incredible. And then when they lose by 7 to the Raiders, you're like, wow, this team sucks. But then last week, they beat the Dolphins, and they played pretty well against the Dolphins. I gotta say that the Chargers, I think they're going to be on an uptrend here. They had, I think that one game against the Raiders, puts a little mark on their resume, but beating the Cardinals, close with the Chiefs, game against the Dolphins, I think they got it. I think they do. I think they steamroll the rest of the season. I agree with you completely, Kyle. You're just speaking facts right now. You're preaching to me, and you know what? I'm agreeing with you. So the -3 looks great here.
The Chargers are the equivalent, or the NFL equivalent of a Toyota Corolla, okay? It ain't anything flashy. It's probably the most mediocre ride to the postseason that we're going to see, okay? But you know what? It's still better than the moped that is the Tennessee Titans, barely scooting along on that little battery that they got going there. I like the Chargers here, -3. Talking about a game with lots of flashes or whatever. I'm gonna go with the Chargers -3. I'm not necessarily super thrilled about this game from a viewing perspective, but I'm pretty confident in this. And the Chargers, look at the end of their schedule. They got the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. Ooh, yeah, I think they're going to be on an upward trajectory, but expect that trajectory to come crashing down the second we hit January, in the postseason. So that's my expectation for this Chargers team. The Toyota Corolla.
Hey, no, I actually for Christmas when I was 14, I got a moped, and to give you a sense of just how up to date that moped was, it was an actual moped. You had to pedal it to start it. I thought I was the bee's knees riding that thing around the neighborhood. So there'll be no moped slander on my watch.
I apologize on behalf of to all the moped users out there.
So disrespectful, Ben.
All right. My final game, the final game of the week, is that Sunday night game. And it's the Giants, it's the Commanders. Now, 2 weeks ago, they treated us to a tie. And everybody hates ties. The teams hate them. We hated them watching it. But now this game has more interest because of that tie. Because of that tie, they are a half game ahead of Seattle. Both these teams in the playoffs right now. And if it wasn't for that tie, the Seahawks would be in the playoffs right now. So both teams at numbers, they're in the 6th and 7th seeds at the moment. Now that will likely change because unless they tie again, one of these teams is going to lose. I think that team that's going to lose is the New York Giants, and for the simple reason they keep losing. They have won one game in the last 6 weeks. Meanwhile, the Commanders actually on a hot streak. They are 6-1-1 in their last 8 games. I looked at the stats since these two streaks began. So since the Giants started their 6-week falter, they are 31st in total defensive EPA per play, 30th in run defense. That's not good. Washington, since their streak started in week 6, they are 3rd overall in defensive EPA and 10th in rush EPA. Giants playing terrible football right now. They have turned into the Giants that we thought they would be. Look, Brian Daboll is still a good hire. I think that they're set up for the future, but the fact is they just don't have that much talent. The Commanders' defense is quite good. The rest of their offense is serviceable around that good defense, and I think the Commanders get the leg up here, win this game, and they put themselves in a pretty good position to make the playoffs.
You guys know what I'm about to say, or if you don't, you'll wish you did. Guess who the Commanders played last week? Absolutely nobody. The Commanders are coming off of a bye week. There we go. Tommy preaching to the choir again. You know, he's talking about bye week teams. The Commanders are going to whoop the Giants. All right? The Commanders are going to go out there and win by a touchdown. Because Taylor Heineke is the GOAT. The Giants stink. And you know, as much as Daboll's trying to salvage this team from the depths of the NFC East, he's not doing very good right now. This team is just really, really stinking the bed. I mean, we got to go change his diaper right now. This Giants team is infants, and the Commanders are grown men. The Commanders grew up. They started off young. They're old now. No more Carson Wentz. You have Taylor Heineke leading the show, -4.5. Rock it, lock it, throw away the key.
Here's something crazy for you. New York Giants are being outscored on the season 300 points to 267. That's just, you can't sustain a winning record getting outscored 33 points on the season and that margin is sure to grow. Yeah, 7-5-1. They should be feeling super lucky to be holding that record. With that point differential on the season. I'm going with the Commanders here to clean up a game that they probably should have won. A couple weeks ago. I'm going to take the Commanders here -4.5.
And Tommy, just to add to your point about the bye week, it's almost as if the Giants were on an anti-bye because not only were the Commanders off, the Giants were getting beat up badly by the Eagles, just beaten up and down the field. It was worse than just playing a regular game. They got the crap knocked out of them. And so the Commanders are nice and rested. They got to spend 2 weeks focused on the Giants. Meanwhile, the Giants are licking their wounds from getting their ass kicked. Commanders all the way.
Giants suffered from that the classic, kid, why are you hitting yourself thing, like that's what happened to them last week. Oh my goodness.
All right, that is the end of the 15 games on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Now it is time for our favorites, our top dogs, and our easy money line picks. Ben, you were the geography genius, so
Always.
You get to go first. Please tell us who your favorite of the week is.
My favorite is going to be the New England Patriots.
New England giving up 1 point. Excellent. Your top dog, please.
Yeah, my top dog of the week is going to be shoot. I think it's I should have thought this out, honestly. I'm gonna go with I just said so much about mopeds and Corollas. I'm actually gonna go with Tennessee +3 here.
Tennessee +3. All right. And your easy money line, please.
Yeah, my easy money line is gonna be Coach Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions. At that pick'em rate, it's probably like what, -110, -115.
It is -109 actually. That's
Oh,
the
we'll take that
consensus right now.
We will take that.
All right. Tommy, your favorite of the week, please.
My favorite is going to be the Vikings -4.
Minnesota -4. All right. Your top dog, please.
Top dog, I'm going to go with the Rams +7.
Wow. Rams getting 7 on the road. You are all in on Baker Mayfield. And your
That's a stretch.
easy money
That's-
line pick, please.
Easy money line, I'm going to go with the Atlanta +174.
All right. ATL +174.
Got some risky
All right.
ones today.
So my favorite is going to be the Cincinnati Bengals -3.5 at Tampa Bay. My top dog is going to be the Baltimore Ravens getting 2.5 against the Cleveland Browns. And I am going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars at +175 as my easy money line pick of the week.
Got some good picks this week.
And gentlemen, that is the show. Week 15 in the books for us. The NFL now set to kick off week 15. Going to be a great week. The playoff picture starting. We've only one team right now has actually clinched a spot. It's only the Philadelphia Eagles. I suspect we'll have 3 or 4 other teams that join them this week, including the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the 49ers. The 49ers have a chance to clinch the division. So we'll have lots more to talk about next week. But thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you tell all of your friends, your colleagues, your milkman about our show, NFL Points, Picks, and Props. We are here every week breaking down all of the weekend's football games, giving you our best betting advice. We are all writers for Noob Sports and part of the Sports 2.0 network. And big thank you to USA Wager, the sponsor of our show. On behalf of Tommy Birch in Springfield, Massachusetts, Ben O'Connell in Chicago, Illinois, I am Kyle Garlett in Denver, Colorado. Happy betting, everybody.
Broncos country, I'm concussed.